Welcome back, everybody. It's not something most people want to think about, but making plans for funeral services now can save your family from having to make plans on your behalf later, and it can also save you money, especially right now because Dignity Memorial is hosting a special fall savings event. Here to tell us more about it is Jonathan Lasky. He is the Market Sales Director. Jonathan, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Malik.
Thanks
Come
so
back
much
again.
for coming on. And you know, like I mentioned off the top, this is a conversation nobody wants to have, but it is important. And I'm so glad you all are offering us some savings right now. Talk to me about this fall savings event.
So every year about this time, you know, everybody's finished up with the summer. They start thinking about planning ahead, getting their ducks in a row. So every year we try to, before prices go up in January, which they typically do, we do best savings of for the remainder of the year starting in October. And it runs from October 6th through the 31st. And it's at 3 of our locations. We have Lake Lawn Metairie Funeral Home and Cemetery, and we have St. Bernard Memorial Funeral Home out in Chalmette, and we have our new location, Grace, and St. Lazarus and Bethany, which is on the North Shore in Covington. And it's the best savings, up to 18% discount on cemetery property. Plus we have funeral, cremation, everything is priced very low and the best discounts for the remainder of the year. So.
Yeah, it's about 18% altogether, and you all saw a couple of photos of the different properties. Keep on looking at them because you all offer so many different services. I can't believe that every year it's about, what, 1 to 3% more every year due to inflation?
Yeah, it's just like everything else, like gas, cars, houses, every year inflation goes up. People don't think of, you know, cemetery and funeral planning the same way, but unfortunately all of us, one day, Malik, you and I even, someone's going to have to come in and take care of that. And
I know.
It's not fun to think about, but
it
does. Inflation affects funeral, cemetery, cremation ranges as well. 1 to 3% increase typically every year.
Wow.
Sometimes more depending on, you know, what's going on with the economy. But when you pre-plan, you actually freeze that cost. And
really?
That savings, yeah. So stop, you know, even though you're not going to use it, hopefully you're not going to use it for many, many, many years, but having it done ahead of time, you're freezing the inflationary cost. It never goes up once you start paying on it.
So say, for example, say I looked into this pre-planning, this fall savings now, and, you know, God willing, I'm around for another 80 years. I will get that price that I got today, even 50 years from now?
Even 50 years from now, it's locked in.
Okay, that is something to definitely think about, because what age group do you all usually work with when it comes to thinking about this pre-planning and thinking about these savings?
Well, most people, you know, 60, 70 people really start themselves thinking about it because, you know, a lot of their friends start passing away, and you know they've attended a lot of funeral services. But you know, these days we're finding that people in their 40s and 50s, because they're the ones taking care of their parents, and they know that they're going to be the ones at the end of the day who are coming in to take care of the arrangements. They're coming in and starting to look at the planning and getting things done for their parents and looking at, and once they're there, they start thinking about it for themselves because, you know, financially, if you're a smart financial planner, which, you know, you're always looking to the future, locking the price in now is like one of the best investments you can make.
And because if you all don't know, when it's time for a funeral, all the costs are needed up front. So if you're able to lock in today's price and pay on it now, you can hopefully save some money. But like you mentioned, there are 3 different properties that you all are doing these fall savings for. If they're trying to figure out which one do I go with, you all do private tours?
We do,
Talk
private
to me about
tours.
what a tour looks like.
So we can come in, we give you an entire tour of the cemetery, the funeral home, you know, talk about cremation, whatever you want for your final disposition. You can also get a tour of Lake Lawn Metairie, which is one of the top 10 most visited, most beautiful, most famous cemeteries in the world. And we'll give you a nice tour of that as well and show you all the different options you have from top to bottom, everything in between, so that you're making an informed decision, getting all the pricing ahead of time instead of waiting till, you know, there's an emergency and you have a few days to get everything done, everything has to be paid in full. You can take it on payments, you can look at all the different options, decide which one's best for you. And like I said, you lock in the price and you can make payments on it.
And you know, you've worked in the funeral business for over 20 years. You all are seeing the newest funeral home right there. That's a beautiful cemetery on the North Shore. I gotta ask you, like, what's your tip on how to have this conversation maybe with an older one to help prepare for this unfortunate upcoming situation?
Well, it's tough. As people get older, they start to understand it. The harder thing is calling and talking to someone who's younger. You know, calling up your daughter or son, whoever's going to take care of your arrangements, saying, "Hey, I'm thinking about going in and making my funeral cemetery arrangements." What's the first thing they're going to say? Are you sick? Is something going on? What's going on? You're like, no, I'm just, you know, trying to look at it, planning ahead, trying to, because that's really why you're doing it. You're taking that burden off of them because they're going to be the ones having to do it later. So the better call is to say, hey, guess what I did today? I went in, I looked at all the different options, I decided I'm going to do this, planned it all out, and now all you have to do when something happens to me is make a phone call.
And we don't want none of that to happen anytime soon, but look, it's
Exactly.
best to prepare, especially now because you can save up to 18%. Jonathan, thank you so much
Thank
for being
you.
here
Thanks
as
for having me again.
always. And look, everybody, the Fall Savings Event starts October 6th and it goes through the 31st. That promotion is good at Dignity Memorial's 3 locations, Lake Lawn Metairie Funeral Home and Cemeteries in New Orleans, Grace Funeral Home, and St. Lazarus of Bethany Memorial Garden in Covington. That's the newest one. And St. Bernard Memorial Funeral Home and Gardens, which is in Chalmette. For more information, call the numbers on your screen or log on to dignitymemorial.com.